Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Brighter Podcast. My name is BatSheva.
And my name is Chelsea.
And my life is so much brighter thanks to Chelsea.
My life is infinitely brighter thanks to BatSheva.
Chelsea and I love to come on this podcast and share with all of you all the tools, techniques, modalities, and the stories we use and we have that make our lives much, much brighter in the hope that it will also brighten your lives. And we have a very wonderful, seasonally appropriate topic for today. And before we get into it, we'll go ahead and take a few breaths together so that we can all arrive in this digital space as one. So you can close your eyes if you're in a place where that is safe. Either way, go ahead. Let's all together take in a nice deep breath through the nose, breathing in calming, quieting energy. Holding for just a moment at the top before you release through the mouth and let anything ready to go. Breathing in through the nose, calm, quieting, soothing energy. Nice big release through the mouth, letting anything ready to go. Third and final breath together in through the nose, calm, quieting energy. Blow it out through the mouth. Let anything ready to go. Well, we find ourselves episode 37 today, celebrating 2026, celebrating January 14th with all of you. How are your New Year's resolutions going? Did you make any? Did you break any? Chelsea and I really love this topic because we both have a huge affinity for all things spiritual, astrological, seasonal, and homeopathic on all levels. And we have noticed that the winter, and I'm sure you all noticed this too, January 1st, when we're supposed to make all our New Year's resolutions and do all the big changes, often feels completely at odds with the early dark nights and the often for many of us freezing cold weather and the nice soothing crackling fire and that desire that is in a lot of us just to rest during this period of time. So we are gifting you the episode Permission to Rest and why it is not just important, but essential to your growth, up-leveling, and brighter days that you gift yourself and fight for yourself to have the time and space and windows you need to rest.
Yes, rest. I also want to give a shout out to my dad. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Yeah,
Aww.
and my cousin-in-law, Melanie. Today's her birthday as well. So happy birthday to both of you. Who knows if they'll ever listen, but this is the invitation. I'm taking this as a permission slip to invite them to listen. So yeah, permission to rest, your cosmic permission slip to really just listen to your own body and listen to what you need and kind of set aside the expectations and the stipulations and the pressures that society and our culture kind of puts on us. BatSheva and I were kind of talking, and I'm like, it kind of feels like the Gregorian, I believe that's how you say it, calendar.
Gregorian,
that's
the
it.
Gregorian.
Yeah, that calendar. If you look at like Mayan calendars or any other cultural, the Chinese calendar, like their New Year doesn't start until February. And it's just like, why are we starting this soon? And honestly, my personal opinion is that they just like to throw you off, to have us like feeling some sort of way about ourselves, like getting down on ourselves, shaming ourselves, feeling like we're not good enough or we didn't stick to it for long enough. So if you find yourself and you're 2 weeks in, and I know for me in some of the things, it's like, that's whenever maybe the excitement has worn off and real life has settled in. And so if you find yourself not doing what you had committed to, 2 weeks ago on January 1st, this is your permission slip. This is your way to say, you know what? It's still hibernation season. Look around at nature. Everything is still sleeping. And like BatSheva said, it's like this like darker time, this, as in daylight darker and resting darker and slowing down. whenever real integration happens. Like we are constantly taking in, at least I am, and I know BatSheva is, taking in all this like information and up-leveling and growing. And, you think about like a teenager whenever they're going through these growth spurts. And I know that parents sometimes say, oh my gosh, you like grew an inch or two last night. And it's in that time of rest, it's in those sleep hours that we are growing also. Like just because there's not some physical doing happening doesn't mean there isn't growth. It's the root system that's growing under the earth for the tree. We had a fruit tree that this year, it was the third year, and all of a sudden it shot up like huge, and we got peaches for the first time ever. But the first 2 years, we're like, I don't know what's happening with it. Like, we'll just let it keep doing its thing. And then boom. And surely enough, it was probably that there was so much going on underneath, because as below, as above, so below. And so, just remembering and reminding ourselves that this is our time to rest. It's our time to reflect. It's our time to nourish ourselves, to let our body repair.
In fact, in the different calendars that you were mentioning, there's another one, which is the Kabbalistic calendar, or the mystical Jewish study of Kabbalah, like the Jewish calendar or the lunar calendar. That year, it's not Rosh Hashanah, which is the fall. We do usually say like Happy New Year, but the true New Year of the Kabbalistic calendar, it's spring. It's depicted in the Last Supper. It is that supper that Jesus was having with his disciples. It's Passover. That period of time is the true New Year for the Kabbalists, and also, of course, for the astrological calendar. We start again in Aries. And this makes all the sense, right? At least for those of us on this side of the world. I mean, that's the new beginning. That's when the little shoots come out of the ground. I loved your tree analogy so much. It's such an important analogy for all of us to remember that just because we don't see the results and we don't experience yet the return on the work that we've been putting in internally or externally or both, it doesn't mean that those roots aren't growing and enlarging and nourishing themselves for when the time is right. And it also made me, I loved that you mentioned how children grow as they're sleeping. I was going to say that too. It's crazy. And it's a great example of how important sleep is. There were also these studies done in the military depriving service men and women who were in the study of sleep for not even that long of a period of time. And they were able to easily make them go clinically insane. And so therefore they were able to prove pretty much unequivocally that depriving oneself of sleep will make one crazy. And so I share this information with our listeners, and reminder to myself that time is essential. We want to be not just like at our best and sharpest during the day in order to make the best decisions on behalf of ourselves and our loved ones, or respond to things, difficult or not difficult, challenging, for example, that come our way in the best possible way for the highest outcome. We can't do that only by doing all the physical preparation and mental preparations proactively. We also have to rest. We have to have stillness, sleep, and also those moments of stillness, meditation. And if you are not a meditator, we have a podcast on meditation. Go back and listen to it if you want. It won't intimidate you or scare you, because I used to hate meditation myself and I couldn't do it. So first of all, if I could do it, there's always hope for any of you, I promise, if you're interested in that. And Chelsea too. And then, of course, we always say, and we have that first podcast that we recorded, Chelsea and I, that documents how our friendship started at the 10-day silent meditation retreat, which was torture, but also led to enormous blessings and miracles in both of our lives. And it's the gift that keeps giving. So again, the takeaway is, in our busy culture, and it's the new year with all the pressure of making things happen that didn't happen last year, balancing that out with the paradoxical reality and truth that you must prioritize stillness and rest, not just sleep, but also during your awake days, during your awakened hours.
Yes, 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 yes. I was just thinking about one of our other episodes to soon come about it being a year of beginnings, and like to give yourself this gift of making this beginning different by giving yourself rest, by honoring your body, by listening to it, because this body is incredible. I mean, as an ICU nurse for over 15 years, I have seen so many things that this amazing vessel can do, like not only my own, but hundreds of thousands of other people, taking care of people in acute care settings for so long and like on their worst and just seeing what the body is capable of. It's so incredible. And if we can just gift it those moments of time for it to actually be able to do its job to repair itself. Like it repairs itself. It's so incredible. And if we could just like listen to it, like no one's telling the trees what to do or like coaching them into growing. They just do it. So for us to be able to recognize that we are one with nature, we are a part of that is our own innate ability as well to just be one with everything. And to just soften into it and let it happen.
And I'll also share something from my own life regarding the role that rest had in helping me fulfill some of my deepest heart's desires and dreams. Because, for example, I've said the story before many times, after my marriage of 20 years ended, I, in a sense, rested romantically for like 3.5 years. I just followed the instinct of my body. I'm not saying that would be right for someone else, but I myself listened to my inner knowing and rested that category of my life until I was finally ready to date. And then when I started dating again, it was in just such a healthier, better way. And similarly, creatively, I recently have been putting pressure on myself to work on film that I want to write and get made and produce. And I've had the concept of this film in my head and the desire to create it for a couple of years now. And I used to write a lot of screenplays in my 20s and be involved in films back then. And so for a while, I felt like a big urgency to do that project along with all the other amazing creative projects that I am already doing and love. And I had this epiphany just like a couple of days ago. And I was thinking, it's kind of related to the podcast that we're about to talk about. Because all of a sudden I just thought, well, I think I'm not ready yet to do that. And I'm going to just take myself off the hook. And I think I will do it and I will manifest it and I will create it. But I'm going to rest in that area of my life and follow the joy that's leading me right now in a couple of other directions, creatively and like professionally. And that felt really good and important. And again, I do still feel like the roots analogy applies. Like the resting, I know the tree will shoot up at its right time. And often if we try to like pull it up from it, let's say we really wanted to like start a business, like many people have this idea for a business and then they feel internal pressure. Like, well, if I could just start that business, then I could be financially independent and then I wouldn't be dependent on this or I blah, blah, blah. And in a way, those thoughts and that internal pressure is so helpful and life altering because it'll help us change the trajectory of our life. And parallel to that, equal opposite is then we have to let go. Then we have to be willing to and invite ourselves to rest. Offer it to the divine. It's in divine timing. Let your internal alarm clock reset and let it tell you when it's time to pick back up on that project. And in fact, when I mentally and kind of emotionally let that idea of doing that screenplay immediately go, as Chelsea knows, sometimes when I do that, immediately thoughts and ideas and inspiration flow right back to me. And I'm like, like I'm ready. It's almost like, again, even just the permission to rest, which is the title of this podcast, that alone, when it's true, letting go and permission can paradoxically usher in the exact thing that you're just finally letting go and resting from, literally. Or in this particular case, something else flowed in that I guess I hadn't heard or felt the interest before was this excitement to work on a brighter workbook, a brighter 21-day program. And I started getting all these ideas for it. And Chelsea and I have been talking about what that might look like. And so I'm going to put it out there that maybe that will be available by springtime, the new astrological year for our listeners. But again, it was kind of a fun, exciting example of like, I wasn't controlling any of that. I wasn't telling myself, I have to do this project and let's do that. It was like actually the opposite, like deciding let's rest. And then hearing that quiet whisper of my soul of what direction to walk in right now.
Yeah. Rest brings clarity, it brings courage, it brings strength. So many things, just replenishing, rejuvenating, renewal.
I feel like you've been talking lately too about how you're very disciplined when it comes to your morning routine. And Chelsea has this incredible series of routines that she does pretty much almost every morning, including a cold plunge and a bunch of meditations. But you can maybe speak to, because I always feel pretty impressed by your ability to also balance, which was your year for 2025 word, that, balancing out well, especially I think with women, like in our hormonal cycles. I mean, let's just face it, like our bodies are just like, no, stop the routine. Sometimes like you must rest. And if you don't, there'll be consequences.
Yeah, I've definitely felt that. I'm so proud of myself, just like bragging on myself of the amount of permission I've actually given myself for all of the things, resting whenever I need rest. If you weren't, some of the people in my life have made it very clear that if you're not up by a certain time, it doesn't matter what time you go to bed. If you're not up by a certain time, then you are lazy. Or if you're not, accomplishing X, Y, and Z every single day, then you have failed. And I've just let all of that shit go. I have let it go, and I have decided that I am a unique being, just like everyone is. Everyone is their own unique being, and what you need and what I need at any given moment is different because I'm not the same person, because I'm also ever changing, ever evolving. And so, the permission that I have given myself is that if my body is like, I need rest, then I let it rest. Obviously there are certain things that you can't, there are certain responsibilities and obligations that whenever those things are there, then I listen. I obviously have to do those. But I also work in time, whether that be going to bed earlier or taking a nap or rescheduling things. And then with my morning routine, for a long time, it was very strict, very rigid. And I had to get up and do every single thing. It was almost OCD, honestly. And it got to a point where it wasn't really, not that the things weren't serving me, because they're all amazing things. The cold plunge, the yoga, the meditations, the mantras, the breath work, everything that I do every day almost. But whenever I felt that I was just like going through the cycle and not actually being super present with it and like tuning into whether that was helpful for the day and paying attention to my cycle, like there was another big shift of energy and recognizing that I have all these different things that I love and that's okay. And I'm able to give them their time to shine whenever they're wishing to shine. And it has felt so much more expansive for me. And it's also felt so much more energy behind it, that things that were causing stress or feeling a lot of pressure, whenever I have let that go, like you said about the workbook or the screenwrite, or it's the moment when you're just like, okay, I realize, or, going to do something, whenever you're like, I had this plan and it just doesn't seem like it's going to work out. The second that we admit that and we're just like, okay, it's not meant to be, whatever, then sometimes just this magic happens and the universe or God or whatever you want to say, like sorts it out for us. And it works out even better than what we thought it would. And so, that's been my experience through 2025 as I loosened my grip and allowed myself to open my hand and receive and rest.
Yeah, and rest. You really fulfilled your word of the year. And we will have that episode as well coming up, choosing a new word for yourself for 2026. And I also was thinking of this subject in the context of recently what just went on between myself and my younger son, taking him off the amount of electronics that I was allowing him to indulge in for the past several years, because it was easier for me to have him on electronics, gaming, watching videos, whatever. Then that gave myself, honestly, the time to rest. So it was a gift to myself, but the trade-off was my very high energy son was being deprived just the opportunity to be engaged and interacting with the world versus like the electronics. And it took those years, honestly, of me being able to build up my own inner resilience, my own self-love, my own inner feeling of inner worth, and being able to comfort myself, have self-compassion, all the things that Chelsea and I are committed to, and it's very real for us. And that's why we share it, because we know this journey. It's not like, I'll just teach it from on high of a mountain. No, like we're in it. It did take me that many years to build up the resilience to get to a point where I could finally take him off the nipple of the electronics, like unplug his eyeballs from those electronics and lay down the law. And it was not without consequence. He had like major hysterical tantrums and outbursts and acting out. And yet the storms passed unbelievably, miraculously quickly, which like I didn't know when I was in the middle of them if they would just be like, that would be my life for the next month. Like I didn't know what I was dealing with. And then like the next day he was apologizing, and he's literally a different child now that I've probably like 90% reduced the amount that he's on electronics. I mean, it's beyond remarkable. I keep talking about it, Chelsea, because every day it's like, wait, what? Oh my God, what? And part of me feels guilty that I wasn't able to do this earlier, but it's not really a guilt. It's just like a sadness that I wasn't the big enough person or the most resilient enough mother that I had it in me to be able to do that a few years ago. But I know that I'm not going to fight with reality. And that's who I was. And that's the situation internally that I had to deal with, like my inability to kind of like enforce certain rules that would be good for him and still be able to carve out my own space that I needed. And all that is to say, allowing yourself and assigning yourself and then following through with rest assignments is an act of courage. I think, Chelsea, you said that when you were saying it's courageous, and it is an act of courage. And I invite all of you to be brave and to know that it's not the wimpy, easy way out. It's the opposite. It's nourishing you. It's important. It's scientifically proven, and it's spiritually proven and essential. So carve out that time for yourself. Do what it takes. Know that you're not alone, and feel and reap the benefits of little by little beginning to recognize your inner voice more and more clearly and loudly, and feel self-compassion and feel comforted and feel love within you that you may not have felt. Allow for that to come in. Be open to receive those changes as you rest. And if you need support and you want support, seek it, because it is out there. And there's a whole network of people and books and videos available to you, to each one of us, to support us.
It is incredible how many and how much resources are available. Like, we are in this huge uplifting. I know that sometimes it can feel like not, but there are so many people that are changing their lives, that are changing their habits, that are taking care of themselves, that are stepping up and offering services and holding space, and people want to connect. I know that we're talking about electronics, and it's there. It's there. You just have to want to find it. And even just putting it out there that you want that, you'll be amazed at how it can show up.
Beautiful, beautiful. Should we go ahead and wrap everything up? This beautiful birthday, joyous January 14th?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yay. Okay, wonderful. So we always like to end our episodes sharing with our listeners one win, one wow, and one wish from Chelsea and our daily W technique that we employ every day. And I'll go ahead and share win number one from today. Let's see, is that Chelsea and I will probably bring it into a podcast when we're finished. We've rebooted the 21 Days of Abundance Deepak Chopra protocol that he launched, I think, back in 2020. And I had done it once before, back in the pandemic. And so we're doing it together in tandem, and it's got like a daily little meditation. So my win number one is that I'm bragging that I already woke up and did that meditation and did the fun exercise and wrote down the mantra for today. And that felt really good. And then my wow number one, what I'm grateful for already today, this morning, is I am grateful for this podcast and this opportunity to share everything that Chelsea and I are experiencing, because it just feels too exciting and too meaningful and transformative not to share and give others the opportunity to receive and hopefully also share. So I'm very, very grateful to you, the listener, and to this platform, Brighter, and to Chelsea for being my beloved beloved sister goddess soul friend. That's my wow.
Thank you. Also feeling both of those. And I have also accomplished half of it. I haven't done the drawing yet, but I've done the meditation and writing down the mantra. So yay. All right. My wish, my desire for today. I wish that my father, I'm going to send this wish out for him. I wish that my father, Mitch, wherever you are out there, that he has a really incredible day, that he feels all the love and generosity and kindness that he has radiated out throughout his entire life, that comes back to him today and every day, honestly, that he is able to really revel in life's joys, that he's maybe able to find a new toy. He loves collecting cars and all kinds of things. So just wishing that today is filled with magic for him. Love you, Dad.
Oh, I love that. Happy birthday, Mitch. Thank you for your daughter. Best gift in my life. Amazing, amazing. And please take this opportunity, if you haven't already, to hit subscribe or make sure that you're following us. If you want to write a review, if you want to share our podcast, we would deeply appreciate that support and that engagement. And we look forward to coming back at you in another 2 weeks.
Ooh, until then, may your days be brighter. We love you.
Bye.